Hello, beautiful Librans, and welcome to our November 2021 reading. It's so wild to be in November and doing the work of Scorpio and Sagittarius season. This is some of my favorite work to do, my favorite combo of energy. Scorpio into Sagittarius for me is such an interesting and wild ride, going into the underground and coming out into the expansiveness and the interconnected play between these two modalities of being. And it's a very creative and intense time of year. And for you all, we are in Scorpio season. We've just moved past Libra season, right? And so we're starting to move into second house energy with Scorpio, which is all about self-value, right? Yes, it's often about possessions and the way, like what we have around us and what we own and how we feel about that. But for me, second house energy has always been so much more about how we value ourselves. Like, we could have all the treasures in the world, right? And if we don't have a sense of worthiness in ourselves, it's like we wouldn't be able to even take that in, right? It would feel the same as if we had had nothing. And so really the question in second house energy, which is how Scorpio connects to you being your neighbor, is that this is a time to really get serious about loving and valuing yourself. And it brought up a question for me, because there's so much energy in Scorpio this month. We have Mars moving through Scorpio all month, Sun moving through Scorpio, a new moon in Scorpio, and Mercury moving through Scorpio this month. So it got me thinking for Librans in general, what's the scale you use to value yourself with? And what scales are those? Because, we are trained so early on in our lives by whatever culture we're growing up in, and we all have slightly different variations on this, right? Can't speak for all cultural settings, all family settings, but we are all taught certain scales of value early on, right? Some of us are taught beauty scales, right? Like, this type of beauty is the one, so we value ourselves based on that. Some of us, it's on productivity or on good grades or on being very socially functional or on being pleasing to others, or on being serious enough. I mean, there are so many ways that we are taught early on that we should value ourselves and value the way that we work and the way that we are in the world, right? And so one of the first things I would say about this Scorpio season for you all is pay attention to the way you're valuing and weighing out your value in each day. This is something I've been working on a lot, because one of the ways I dealt with the stress of being a sensitive little kid, because I was so sensitive and I picked up on so much energy as a kid, I learned very early on that what worked for me was to have like a very set checklist of what I needed to get done. And just like, if I could get through that list, get all the homework done correctly, put everything away, do all these things, that was what was going to make me safe and give me value in the world, right? That was what was going to make me feel like, okay, I'm allowed to be here. I'm allowed to be alive as a human because I've checked off this list. So for me, I still get pulled into that at times, where if I am going through a time of growth and change and exploration and learning, it's challenging me a little bit, and I'm changing and growing, I'll want to go back to this little control system I had set up as a very little kid, not really knowing what I was doing, right? And so this is just a great time to notice where you may have that little system, that little scale that weighs out how allowed you are to be in the world, how allowed you are to just exist, right? And to challenge those and take care of yourself doing that. It doesn't have to be an inner war at all, but it is a good time and it's a great season. And Scorpio season this year in particular is very medicinal. It's very much about going and sitting with the parts of ourselves that need love. Not to be pushed away, not to be pushed down, not to be tried to burned out of existence, but to be loved and incorporated and released, right? So that was the first thing, notice the scales that you're using on yourself to say whether or not you're worthy, and come closer to valuing yourself just based on your soul here to shine light. And that light doesn't mean cheerful, happy-go-lucky all the time. That light means, it can be all the emotions in our lifetimes. We're going to have all those deep emotions. It's also just letting yourself be, right? So letting yourself be, that's a big message here. And then we move into Sagittarius season. Oh, before that, we have a full moon and partial lunar eclipse in Taurus right at the end of Scorpio season. So we're starting eclipse season a little early, and we are starting to notice here, because as eclipses shift, it's suggesting that the north node of the moon is about to shift into Taurus, and it will in January. And so we're getting a hint of this big shift in energy when energy starts to move into Taurus. But anyway, this full moon partial lunar eclipse is a really great time for you all to, this is 8th house energy, this is transformation energy for you all, to just notice how you've changed, take it in, give yourself some credit for how much you've grown, how much you've learned, how much you've mastered, how much you've seen, how much you have been through and understood, right? So it's a really, really powerful full moon and eclipse, also very healing. And once again, like I said with Scorpio season, a very medicinal time this year. And then shortly after this full moon lunar eclipse, we are heading into Sag season. And I have a love for Sagittarian energy. It is such a good place. And what's so interesting, Sagittarius energy, there's been the South Node in Sagittarius for a year and a half at this point, basically. And that has meant that it's kind of taken down a little bit of the expansive thinking, the playful philosophical worldview thinking a little bit over the last year and a half. And it's starting to come back here. And so this Sagittarius season, this energy flows so well with Libran energy. So creative, playful, conversational, great ideas coming into play. 10 of Cups, hello, I love it. So Sag energy is going to feel really playful and light and fun and buoyant for you all. And I think it will be a really nice way to close out November. 9 of Cups. I mean, I'm so with this, Libra. I'm so with this. I know that Libra season itself, 7 of Cups. Okay. And 10 of Swords. All right, I feel good about these 4. This is quite the journey. I know Libra season was really powerful for a lot of you, and for people who don't even have Libran energy as their main energy. And so it's really nice to see this kind of season of rebalancing, coming back home to yourself, finding that deep sense of value just in being in the world without performing roles, without weighing yourself on all these different scales of value, right? All of that. And so interesting to me, because right out of the gate, we got 10 and 9 of Cups, right? These cards are of emotional well-being. I mean, they're almost so simple that it's hard to describe them, because this is a nearly ineffable kind of energy. It's about that state of being where we are really at peace within ourselves, right? We feel held by the universe. We feel held by the energies around us. We feel safe. We feel like we can breathe deeply all the way into our bellies and our backs, and we don't have to carry any weight. And this is also, these cards speak to having people around you that really love you and care for you. And there being some deepening of some relationships, right? Places where you are able to fully relax and surrender and come home to yourself. And these are so beautiful. You know what I'd say? One of the challenges when this kind of energy comes around, it goes back to that self-value thing, right? We're given the riches of some peace and some love and some great friendships, great partnerships, great conversations with the people we love, maybe in our families or in our communities. And when we're feeling like we don't deserve it, it's like we can't even feel it or taste it, right? But as we say, yeah, you know, I'm allowed to be here. I'm allowed to be here. I'm allowed to be this awesome being that I am, and just be, and that's enough. Our access to this type of energy grows exponentially. It's very, very fast when we let ourselves into that space, right? And so there is an invitation here of that. There's also a deeper spiritual thing happening underneath that, right? So we have this beautiful, warm, emotionally healing, supportive supportive energy with the 10 and the 9 of Cups, which is just so much about something being fulfilled, completed, coming full circle, being clarified, and holding you so deeply. We also have this deep spiritual work going on, and this is just November for you, my friends. I mean, truly, it is such an interesting, nuanced month. I really am fascinated by the energies here. But there's something going on here, because 7 of Cups for me is kind of like, this is an energy of where we're kind of going through our dreams. We're kind of going through the hidden realms and figuring out what it is we really want to pick up and bring with us into the physical. And I think a lot of times people get a little intimidated by this energy because they're like, won't I get like lost out in the ether? Won't it be like kind of chaotic if I'm just floating out there? But this is one of my favorite energies to work with, because it's really about taking the time to dream, to meditate, and to let yourself float a little bit so that you can land on what it is that you're trying to bring into the world, that you're trying to birth into the world. Because there's a sense that there's something that is not quite seen yet, that you're just starting to pick up. And I think that full moon eclipse and some of the powerful energy going on during Scorpio season is going to help you be doing that. So also keep in mind that behind the scenes, you may be doing kind of like a spiritual soul quest. And with that is also coming the shedding of a skin. 10 of Swords to me is an energy of like deep peace, interestingly enough, because 10 of Swords is the end of a cycle. It's the letting go of something. It's a battle that's been fought and it's been exhausting. It's taken up a lot of energy and now is complete. And it's time to let it go. So on the one hand, you're doing this spiritual quest into the unseen, into the unknown, into the hidden, into the realms. And you're also in that realm letting go of an old energetic cycle. It kind of makes me think of the concept of cord cutting or closing out. And I think that, we often think about that in terms of like exes and, problematic lovers from the past. But I think cord cutting to me, or just like closing out, doesn't always have to be a cord cutting. Just like closing something out can also be like a project, a core belief, a way that we've connected to an old story in our lives that we can just say, I've made my peace. I'm ready to close that out, and to really take the time to honor that and let that sink in slowly but surely. So there's a letting go at the same time that there is an opening up, and it's just, there's a mystical vibe going on here, Libra, with your energy. It has a lot to do. The energies, all 4 of these cards actually have to do with the energetic realm, the emotional realm, and how when we do that kind of exploration behind the scenes, yes, it mirrors in our physical worlds, right? But it's a little tricky because it is about something happening that's a little ineffable, a little bit hard to express in words to the external world. And so I am finding you're getting directed to that hidden behind the scenes work. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be connecting with people, having great conversations, having amazing like synchronicities happening, because when we take the time to connect in with the unseen, interesting things start to happen in the physical as well. And you may be finding that this month. And I have some affirmations to go along with some of the themes we've just talked about for the month for you all. So let's get into those. Here they are. I am inherently valuable and safe within myself. I can trust myself to move and to rest in each moment as they come. I know I will take the right steps in the future, which means I can be at peace in the present. I am meant to live in peace and to create in peace. Those affirmations just make me feel so relaxed. I can just feel like my shoulders release, my everything just relaxes. Yes, it's so nice. I'm really intrigued by this energy, you all. I would love to hear what's coming up for you all. What's coming up in the Libra fam? I don't think I've ever told you this, but my midheaven is actually in Libra. So whenever I'm doing work with this energy, I feel like I'm working on getting insights into myself as well. But yeah, I'd love for you to leave a comment. Let me know what you're going through, what's coming up for you when you see these cards and hear these themes coming up. So please feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and hang out. I just love seeing you guys here. I'm also offering a lot of extra support over on my Patreon. This is where you can really support me, and I can really support you. It's an offering that really comes from my heart and is a space that I feel really safe and cozy in. It's a smaller community, and because of that, there's a lot of heartfelt, beautiful, lovely energy there. So I'd love to see you there. You can also find me on Instagram at Sarah Vrba. So I'll leave my handle and everything and my website in the description box so you know all the places to find me and it's easy to find me. I love you all so much. Have a gorgeous November, and I will see you very, very soon for more Sagittarius season in December.